No matter how much Hollywood cinema changes, we still cannot forget Clark Gable, who is known as the King of Hollywood and the seventh greatest male movie star of classic American cinema. With a career as a leading man that spanned 3 decades, Clark's popularity spiraled out of control, becoming the most consistent box office performer and appearing opposite many famous actresses at that time. That's why Clark's love life was a hot topic that is always sought after by the media. It is known that Clark had to go through 5 marriages and suffered great loss from his 2 wives. Not only that, the last years of Clark's life were not pleasant either. Let's watch this video to know what terrible thing happened to Clark and his 2 wives. Clark Gable and Carole Lombard, iconic figures of Hollywood's golden era, rose to fame in the 1930s as 2 of the industry's biggest stars. Gable's breakthrough moment came with his leading role in the 1934 film It Happened One Night, propelling him to stardom, while Lombard distinguished herself through her comedic talents in films like 20th Century and My Man Godfrey, as noted by Turner Classic Movies TCM. Interestingly, the paths of Gable and Lombard crossed in 1932 during the filming of their only collaborative project, No Man of Her Own. However, there were no immediate sparks, as Gable was then married to Maria Langham, and Lombard was wed to actor William Powell, according to the Vintage News. Despite the lack of initial romantic interest, Lombard later revealed to a friend, as recounted by Country Living, that even after performing intense love scenes together, she failed to elicit any visible reaction from Gable. Fate, however, intervened in their lives. In 1936, Lombard hosted the renowned Mayfair Ball, an event synonymous with glitz, glamour, and a guest list comprising Hollywood's elite. At this extravagant gathering, Gable and Lombard found themselves reunited, and throughout the night, they engaged in flirtatious banter. By this time, both had undergone significant personal changes. Lombard had divorced Powell, and Gable was in the process of separating from his wife, Maria Langham. Their connection deepened into a secret romance that managed to evade the public eye. Gable's divorce from Langham was finalized in 1938, finally clearing the path for their love to be publicly acknowledged. The relationship between Clark Gable and Carole Lombard, born out of chance encounters and personal transformations, became one of Hollywood's most enduring and celebrated love stories. Following their clandestine romance, Clark Gable and Carole Lombard tied the knot on March 12, 1939, as reported by Country Living. The timing of their nuptials was notable, occurring during a break in Gable's filming of the epic Gone with the Wind. Seizing this opportune moment, the couple eloped to Kingman, Arizona, marking the beginning of their married life. The newlyweds settled into domestic bliss at a ranch in Encino, California, where their shared love for the outdoors blossomed. The Saturday Evening Post details that Gable and Lombard enjoyed a rustic lifestyle, surrounded by a menagerie of farm animals. Their days were often spent hiking, camping, and reveling in the tranquility of their rural retreat. According to the Vintage News, the couple was inseparable, and when circumstances forced them apart, they expressed their affection through playful and goofy gifts. Despite the idyllic facade of their marriage, challenges emerged. Lombard harbored a strong desire to start a family, but she faced difficulties in conceiving, as reported by Closer Weekly. Additionally, rumors circulated about Gable's alleged infidelity, casting shadows over their relationship. In January 1942, tensions escalated, culminating in a reported altercation between the couple over Gable's purported unfaithfulness, as noted by the New York Post. Following this incident, Lombard, driven by a sense of duty to the war effort, embarked on a war bond tour. The Saturday Evening Post explains that she was accompanied by her mother, Elizabeth Peters, and Gable's publicist Otto Winkler on this journey. The separation marked a tumultuous chapter in their marriage, revealing both the strains of personal challenges and the broader context of World War II. Before embarking on a war bond tour, Carole Lombard, accompanied by her mother, sought the guidance of a psychic, as recounted by Country Living. The psychic's warning urged Lombard to avoid traveling by plane, a caution she ultimately disregarded. Despite this forewarning, Lombard set out on a mission to raise $2 million in war bonds, displaying her unwavering commitment to supporting the war effort. Her success in this endeavor fueled her determination to return home and mend her relationship with Clark Gable. According to the Saturday Evening Post, Lombard, her mother Elizabeth Peters, and publicist Otto Winkler had initially planned to return to California via train after their war bond tour in Indianapolis. However, Lombard, eager to reunite with Gable, was adamant about expediting their journey. In a fateful decision, a coin toss sealed their fate, compelling them to board TWA Flight 3. Nevada Public Radio reveals that Lombard and her entourage faced challenges even before takeoff. Military authorities hesitated to allow Lombard on the flight, expressing concerns about the safety of a high-profile figure like her amidst the possibility of German spies. Despite these reservations, Lombard refused to disembark, determined to proceed with her journey. The ill-fated flight made a stop in Las Vegas to refuel before tragedy struck. Approximately 15 minutes after takeoff, TWA Flight 3 crashed into Nevada's Potosi Mountain, claiming the lives of all 22 individuals on board, including Carole Lombard, who was only 33 years old. The crash investigation later determined that pilot error was the cause of the devastating accident, as reported by the Vintage News. Upon receiving the devastating news of Carole Lombard's plane crash, Clark Gable, as reported by the Saturday Evening Post, was plunged into profound grief. Despite holding on to a glimmer of hope for a miraculous outcome, he eventually had to confront the heartbreaking reality that his beloved wife had perished. Country Living notes that Gable, driven by the need for closure and perhaps a desire to grasp the magnitude of the tragedy, flew to Nevada to witness the wreckage site firsthand. Officials, aware of the dangers and difficulties of reaching the crash site, tried to dissuade Gable from making the perilous journey. Undeterred, Gable pressed on, navigating the challenging terrain until he reached the scattered remnants of the plane. Photoplay magazine recounts that the actor encountered fragments of the aircraft, but was eventually compelled to turn back when he approached the remains of Lombard and the other victims. The crash left an indelible mark on Clark Gable, leading to profound changes in his life. Closer Weekly reports that he was burdened with guilt and consumed by grief. Remaining in Nevada for a period, Gable confided in friends, expressing his reluctance to return to the empty house in Encino that he had shared with Lombard. The Vintage News adds that Gable, coping with the overwhelming loss, turned to drinking, smoking, and risky motorcycle rides, reflecting the extent of his emotional turmoil. In a significant turn of events, Gable made a life-altering decision in August 1942 by joining the U.S. Army Air Force, as reported by the Vintage News. It is believed that, prior to her death, Lombard had urged him to enlist when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. At the time, Gable felt he was too old at the age of 40. However, in the aftermath of Lombard's tragic death, he reconsidered and took a patriotic leap into military service. Clark Gable's enlistment in the U.S. Army Air Force at the age of 41 marked a profound chapter in his life, and Den of Geek notes that he embraced the role of an aerial gunner. He went on to create a military film titled Combat America, utilizing footage he had personally filmed with the assistance of a cinematographer, as reported by Military. Despite initial skepticism from his peers about seeing active combat, Gable defied expectations and participated in air raids over Nazi Germany, as documented by history. Gable's military service was not without peril. During one mission, a German shell pierced part of his plane, narrowly missing him and piercing his boot. He displayed remarkable courage by taking charge when other gunners were incapacitated or killed in action. This first-hand experience in the thick of battle earned Gable the respect of his fellow servicemen. His dedication and bravery did not go unnoticed, and by the end of his military service, Gable had achieved the rank of major. He was decorated with an Air Medal and the Distinguished Flying Cross for his exceptional contributions during wartime. However, what mattered most to him, according to sources cited by history, was the camaraderie and respect he earned from his fellow soldiers. Gable returned home in October 1943, and Country Living suggests that his discharge in June 1944 marked the conclusion of a journey that many believe he undertook as a form of self-destruction in the wake of Carole Lombard's death. Before enlisting, Gable had confided in friends, expressing a fatalistic attitude, stating, "I'm going in, and I don't expect to come back, and I don't really give a hoot whether I do or not." Despite his grim expectations, Gable survived the war, and his resilience in the face of adversity added another layer to his complex character. Den of Geek reports that Gable, having faced the dangers of aerial combat, developed a lasting aversion to flying on planes. Instead, he preferred to travel by ship after the war. This preference underscored the enduring impact of his wartime experiences on his psyche, as well as the indelible mark that his military service left on the Hollywood icon. After completing his military service, as noted by the Saturday Evening Post, Clark Gable returned to his acting career. However, the landscape of Hollywood had changed, and Den of Geek reports that his popularity began to wane, with his films experiencing decreasing success. Despite the challenges and the enduring grief over Carole Lombard's death, Gable sought solace in marriage, tying the knot twice more. From 1949 to 1952, Gable was married to Lady Sylvia Ashley, according to legendary Clark Gable. Subsequently, he entered into a second marriage with Kay Williams, Spreckles, from 1955 to 1960. The Life and Times of Hollywood notes that many observers believed Spreckles bore a resemblance to Lombard in appearance. The marriage with Spreckles was reportedly a happy one, and in 1960, the couple received the joyful news of Spreckles' pregnancy. Tragically, this period coincided with the filming of The Misfits, a movie that marked the final performances for both Gable and his co-star Marilyn Monroe. Biography recounts that, at the age of 59, Clark Gable succumbed to a heart attack on November 16, 1960, just days after completing the film. Sadly, he never had the chance to meet his son, Kay Williams Spreckles, named John Clark Gable. In a poignant twist, Gable's final wish was to be laid to rest beside the love of his life, Carole Lombard. According to Country Living, he was buried next to Lombard at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale, California. The intertwining of Gable's personal and professional life, his enduring love for Lombard, and the eventual reunion in death with his first wife all contribute to the complex and poignant legacy of one of Hollywood's legendary figures. After Clark Gable's death, his son, John Clark Gable, was born several months later. Growing up, John knew his father only through the characters portrayed on screen, as he had lost his father before he could form personal memories. Following Clark Gable's passing, Kay Williams, John's mother, took on the responsibility of raising him as a single parent. Despite the challenges, Williams remained active in the Hollywood community, involving herself in various charities and fundraising organizations. She also played a role in Ronald Reagan's first campaign for governor of California, showcasing her commitment to both her son and her community. In May 1967, Kay Williams faced her own health challenges when she suffered a mild heart attack, marking the beginning of a series of heart problems that would persist for many years. Undeterred by her health issues, Williams continued to champion Clark Gable's legacy throughout the 1970s. She even had plans to write a book about his life, intending to provide a personal perspective on the iconic actor. However, the realization of this plan took an unexpected turn. The book, titled Gable and Lombard, was published without Williams's authorization. It delved into the complex relationship between Gable and one of his earlier wives, adding an element of difficulty for Kay as it explored aspects of the actor's life that may have been emotionally challenging for her. As Kay Williams battled recurring heart problems, she was admitted to a Houston hospital in order to undergo cardiac tests. Tragically, on May 25, 1983, she succumbed to her ongoing health issues. The passing of Kay Williams marked the end of an era, concluding a life dedicated to raising the son of one of Hollywood's most iconic figures and tirelessly promoting the legacy of Clark Gable despite personal adversities. Her contributions to the Hollywood community and her enduring commitment to preserving Gable's memory added another layer to the complex narrative of one of Hollywood's legendary families. Clark Gable's journey from his humble beginnings to becoming a Hollywood legend is a compelling narrative that traces his early life and the gradual evolution of his career. Born on February 1, 1901, in Cadiz, Ohio, Gable's early years were marked by tragedy and resilience. His father, William Gable, worked in the oil fields, while his mother, Adeline Hershelman, passed away when Gable was just a year old. Following his mother's death, William remarried Jenny Dunlap when Gable was 4, and the family moved around Ohio before settling into a farming life. Gable's initial exposure to the world of work began at the age of 15, when he secured a job at a Dayton rubber factory. It was during this period that he discovered his passion for the theater after witnessing his first play. Driven by his newfound enthusiasm, Gable abandoned his night-schooling pursuit of becoming a doctor and ventured into the world of theater. At the age of 15, Gable took on the role of a call boy in the theater, earning no salary but sustaining himself by living in the wings and relying on tips from actors. He performed walk-on parts until he was called back home due to his stepmother's illness. Following her death, Gable worked with his father in the Oklahoma oil fields for 2 years before deciding to pursue a career in the theater. His journey in the entertainment industry began with a job at a stock company theater, leading to a series of various jobs until he decided to try his luck in Hollywood in 1924. Initially appearing as an extra in silent films, Gable gradually progressed to supporting roles for Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, studios. It wasn't until 1931 that he secured his breakthrough, landing his first leading role in Dance Fools Dance alongside Joan Crawford, who had specifically requested him for the part. Clark Gable's career soared to new heights in the early 1930s, solidifying his status as a Hollywood icon. Following his success in Dance Fools Dance, he starred in the romantic drama Red Dust in 1932, alongside the era's leading sex symbol, Jean Harlow. This collaboration catapulted Gable into the limelight and firmly established him as MGM's preeminent male star. The trajectory of his career reached a pinnacle when he clinched the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1934 for his role in Frank Capra's It Happened One Night. This victory marked a significant milestone in his career, signaling widespread recognition of his talent and versatility. Gable's star continued to shine brightly throughout the 1930s, with notable performances in films such as Mutiny on the Bounty and the iconic Gone with the Wind, where he portrayed the unforgettable character Rhett Butler. His contributions to these films earned him additional Academy Award nominations, reflecting the depth of his acting prowess and his ability to tackle diverse roles. Despite his flourishing career, the outbreak of World War II prompted a shift in Gable's trajectory. In response to the call of duty, he enlisted as a private in the Army a few months after the United States entered the war, displaying a sense of patriotism and commitment. Rising through the ranks, Gable attended the Army Officers Candidate School at Miami Beach. Emerging as a second lieutenant in 1942, he further distinguished himself by earning his wings as an aerial gunner, and he was subsequently deployed overseas, earning the Air Force Air Medal for exceptionally meritorious achievement in 5 combat missions. The roots of Gable's acting prowess can be traced back to his early training under the guidance of his first wife, Josephine Dillon, who operated an acting clinic in Hollywood. Under her watchful eye, Gable honed the skills that would propel him to stardom. Although their marriage ended in divorce in 1930, Dillon played a pivotal role in shaping Gable's career during its formative years. Gable's personal life also underwent changes during this period. Following his divorce from Josephine Dillon, he married Rita Langham in 1931. However, their union was short-lived, culminating in a separation in 1935 and a final divorce in 1939. Despite the challenges in his personal life, Gable's professional achievements and military service cemented his legacy as one of Hollywood's enduring and multifaceted legends. Are you curious about Clark Gable's death? There are rumors that Clark Gable's final film may have hastened his death. The Misfits stands as a cinematic masterpiece with a constellation of Hollywood and literary luminaries involved in its creation. Directed by John Huston and featuring a script penned by renowned playwright Arthur Miller, the film brought together a formidable cast that included the iconic Clark Gable, legendary actor Montgomery Clift, and Miller's wife, the celebrated actress Marilyn Monroe. This complex and dramatic contemporary Western film, as documented by IMDb, was a collaboration of immense talent, blending the creative forces of director Huston, playwright Miller, and the stellar cast. However, the production of The Misfits took a toll on Gable, who, by that time, was already grappling with poor health, as reported by Turner Classic Movies. His history included a prior heart attack, and he was notorious for his heavy drinking and smoking habits, which exacerbated his health concerns. The challenges of the role added further strain on Gable's well-being. In preparation for his portrayal of Gay Langland, an aging cowboy, Gable underwent a drastic physical transformation, shedding more than 30 pounds rapidly with the assistance of amphetamines. This intense effort to embody the character reflected Gable's commitment to his craft, but also underscored the toll it took on his health. The difficulties continued during the filming of The Misfits, which took place on location in Nevada. The unforgiving desert heat presented a formidable challenge for the cast, including Gable, Monroe, and Clift. The arduous conditions tested their resilience as they worked to bring the poignant narrative to life against the backdrop of the harsh Nevada landscape. The final chapter in Clark Gable's illustrious life unfolded after the completion of The Misfits. The film required some reshoots, extending Gable's involvement by an additional 3 weeks, as reported by the Los Angeles Times. After the conclusion of the project, Gable returned with his wife to their home in Encino, California, in November 1960. Tragically, Gable's health took a severe turn shortly after their return. On November 6, 1960, he suffered a heart attack, prompting his admission to the hospital. Initial reports suggested that Gable was responding well to treatment, but only 10 days later, on November 16th, the legendary actor passed away suddenly in his bed at Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital. The nurse attending to him recounted the suddenness of his departure, noting that Gable was sitting up one moment and gone the next. The circumstances surrounding his death, suspected to be another heart attack, cast a shadow over the Hollywood icon. Gable's demise at the age of 59 came mere hours after having dinner with his wife in his hospital room. Newspaper headlines mourned the loss of one of the film's top stars, and his passing left an indelibly mark on the industry. According to Turner Classic Movies, Gable was laid to rest beside his third wife, Carole Lombard, at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Los Angeles, marking a poignant reunion in death with the love of his life. The release of The Misfits in 1961 marked a bitter irony, as Gable never had the opportunity to witness the success of the film. The movie also served as the final performance for his co-star Marilyn Monroe. Gable's untimely death only 4 months before the birth of his son, John Clark. Gable, as reported by United Press International, underscored the heartbreaking reality that he never had the chance to embrace the joys and challenges of fatherhood in his later years. The legacy of Clark Gable, one of Hollywood's greatest stars, endures through his iconic performances and the enduring impact he made on the golden age of cinema. What do you think about the tragic deaths of Clark Gable and his two wives? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.